All right. Thank you, Shawnee, and the entire panel of judges for this incredible recognition. And thank you to my fellow finalists for sharing your inspirational efforts to address the complex problem of care for people with mental illness, and to the Pioneer Institute for drawing attention to this issue with such openness. I am honored to accept this award on behalf of our mobile medication program teams, the nurses, peer support specialists, and staff with such solid dedication to their work, fullness of heart, and devotion to the needs of others, who without even a second thought brave downpours and ice storms, all to ensure our participants take their life-saving medications. I recently rode along with one of those staff members, as I do every few months, hoping to understand their work and the needs of the people that the program serves. An early morning thunderstorm had rolled out a few hours ago, leaving behind the sticky, humid air so familiar to a North Carolina summer. The sun beat down on our Corolla as we hugged the open highway, passing fields of aged tobacco plants. Mike, the staff person, veered left down a road that could easily serve as a setting for an elaborate country estate, perched atop a rolling green hill, descending into a pond, opening views of dense longleaf pines in the horizon. But there was no such estate. Instead, we saw about a dozen decades-old mobile homes, flanking a partially flooded dirt road. Mike maneuvered the Corolla to avoid one of the deep potholes and parked in front of the participant's home. A no trespassing sign partially hung from a peeling metal siding supporting the air unit in an otherwise darkened window. A large white table sat lopsided in the front yard, with one leg sunk deep into the wet ground and covered with plastic water bottles, baby dolls, and empty cereal boxes. We were there to visit Debbie, a woman about my age, referred to the mobile medication program after her 9th inpatient psychiatric hospitalization in half as many years. In her young life, Debbie has endured trauma difficult to summarize, let alone comprehend. Born to a mother raped by her grandfather, she bounced around foster homes until moving in with an abusive boyfriend at age 14, never learning the distinction between violence and love. Several years later, after witnessing a close family member kill himself, she suffered her first major depressive episode, which led to hospitalization and diagnosis of bipolar disorder. As is unfortunately all too common for the uninsured poor battling mental illness, and especially in rural areas lacking even the most basic safety net services, Debbie never received consistent medical nor mental health care. Consequently, she found herself wound into a familiar cycle: the chronic and episodic nature of untreated bipolar disorder or other serious mental illness, periodically escalating into a crisis, necessitating EMS transport to an emergency department, then hospitalization, and discharge with the brand new cocktail of medications. Medications with names, dosing particulars, and side effects that even for the most highly educated are hard to sort out. Predictably, people fail to take them as prescribed, never understanding what to expect from them or even the condition they're intended to treat. They become lost in the chaos of their own care. Debbie was 3 months into the mobile medication program the day we visited her, having recently reached the stage of the program when staff visit just weekly. As we climbed out of the Corolla, she was returning from her morning walk, smiling and holding her nearly 1-year-old baby in her right arm and waving with her left. Her shoulders fallen forward and hair pulled tight behind her lifted head, she confidently walked toward a metal box on the table in the front yard. She offered for me to sit, apologizing for the wet chairs, and with a sense of resignation, said that she needed to keep her stuff outside because their home was full of mice. She opened the clasp on the metal box, pulled out her pill organizer, and promptly and proudly reviewed her medications, one by one, with Mike at her side. "This is my trazodone. It helps me sleep, but I only take it when I have to and never when my baby is sick." She opened another bottle and dropped capsules into each slot. "This is my Abilify. It helps me stay calm, not think bad thoughts, and be a good mama." For Debbie, her life challenges stretch far beyond what medications can reach. She's generations deep into a cycle of poverty so pervasive that an otherwise simple problem like mice in the home seems too buried to unpack. But what the medications can do, when dosed properly and ideally coupled with behavioral therapy, is break the clouds in the mind enough to grasp the promise of independence. to sense what it may be like to be free, unbound from the darkness within. As the writer Andrew Solomon puts it, the opposite of depression is not happiness, but vitality. And to me, here's where we find the shared humanity in all this. We all want to be empowered to chart our paths, to drive our own health care. While most of us cannot relate to other aspects of Debbie's story, we can relate to that. And, likely in some way, we can also relate to the mental illness. Because as Solomon writes, mental illness is the family secret that everyone has. Maybe not us personally, but as a parent, a brother, a coworker, or dear friend. In his TED Talk on depression, he says that after he spoke out about his own battle, people asked if others treated him differently. He replied, yes, they do. They tell me all about their own or their loved ones' illnesses. I believe that the sooner we can break down the stigma of mental illness and accept our shared humanity around this issue, and not think of people like Debbie as problems to be fixed, but as fellow parents striving to stay a step far enough ahead of the beasts within to do right by our children, the sooner we're apt to design policies and programs that work, the kind of system that we would want for ourselves and our families. An approach from that frame of mind, what really separates you and me from someone like Debbie, is that Debbie does not presume to make decisions on behalf of others. Yet we all do in some capacity, perhaps so routinely and embedded as core to our everyday work that we've lost sight of the power this holds. It is a gift and a profound responsibility. Back in Debbie's yard, after she reviewed the name, dosage, and purpose of all her medications until a week's worth of pills were properly organized, she pressed the cover closed, placed the pill organizer back in the box, and secured the latch. She looked up at me with a tremendous grin. My baby turns 1 tomorrow. I've got to go decorate for the party. Carry on, Debbie. I wish you continued vitality, and I wish us all the same. Thank you.